Hello friends, followers, fellow flight simmers. Welcome back, and I'm also going to welcome myself back. After some time off, I'm back with another video and hoping to get back to the video publishing schedule after 2 weeks of silence. I will keep the videos coming, but also please let me know in the comments what you'd like to see in Microsoft Flight Simulator, because to me, I don't like to publish videos where I fly from A to B in a particular aircraft and call it something valuable. I'd like to speak about things, explain things a little bit in detail, and maybe share some information and knowledge with you to help you with your flight simulator journey. So therefore, I am trying to think about what is the next video, what I can publish, what I can talk about instead of flying from A to B. Anyway, excuse me. We are in the South American region, parked at Rio de Janeiro in one of the GA ramps, and we are going to take a look at the release version of the Cessna 414 Chancellor. This aircraft came out from Flysimware roughly about 3 months ago as a beta release, or early access release rather, maybe. And recently came out of beta, and the final release, which was 2.8.1, is released by the developer. It has been a long journey maybe, but the developer polished and fixed all the bugs and perfected this aircraft. This is actually one of my favorite twins in the sim, and the other one is the Milviz Cessna 310, and I like to fly in these two aircraft a lot in the sim when I'm flying GA. The other aircraft I like also, which is a twin, is the Britten-Norman Islander from Black Box Simulations, which is going to get a huge update very shortly. Anyway, so what we'll do today is we'll take a look at the aircraft, we'll try to cover what has changed, and maybe do a small circuit around the airport and call it a day. As you see, the exterior model of the aircraft was already great, but it has seen some updates too. Some minor issues were fixed, like not aligned textures and some gaps between the panels that causes light to shine through the panels into the cockpit, etc. The EFB is also updated too. We will talk about that as well when we go into the cockpit, but I'm gonna quickly jump into the cockpit and go to the drone camera and then take a look and fly around the aircraft to take a look at the model. Alright, sorry about that weird switch. I had to do this to go to the drone camera. Let's get real close, and when you take a look, the rivets on the panels, the seams, even the uneven surface of the steel is nicely modeled. Wings, undercarriage, landing gear, everything is done with a high quality in mind. Look at those oil leaks around the struts and the texturing behind the landing gear door. It's done very nicely. The cockpit was already exceptional too, and the cabin as well. We will take a look at that too. The wigs, the statics on the wigs, which you can remove from the tablet. The antennas, everything about this aircraft has come a long way and looks exceptional. A very nice aircraft, as I said, and the reason I like this a little bit better than the others maybe is that this has a pressurized cabin which means you can climb up to 20,000 feet with this aircraft, and you know, has a 1100 nautical miles range too. Look at those details, like light in the baggage compartment. The detail of these screws, everything is done with a high standard in mind. Very nice exterior model. We have looked at this in the initial review video, but let's go and try to see if we can get into the cabin from here and take a look around the cabin. As you see, nice textures here as well, the seats, the leather textures, and a lot of things can be interacted with, even with the drone camera. The table, cup holders, they come out, they go back in. You can click those. These lights do work. We are not powered on, so they will probably not work right now, but they do work when you have power to the aircraft. And I'm just trying to get a good angle. The door can be closed from here too. The upper portion of the door will be a little bit tricky with the drone camera, but that's the click spot for closing the upper portion, upper half of the door. The carpet on the ground, the seats, everything is modeled very nicely. There was a little light here that turns on to brighten the entry, or brighten the entry rather. There is a second table for the passengers on the left side of the plane too, which has the same animation like the right side. And I think that's about it for the cabin side of things. Sorry about that. I should think about using a different controller than my keyboard to use the drone camera. It gets tricky. The cockpit also looks very nice from distance. Very nice texturing. I'm just pleased with this aircraft. Really, that's all I can say about the modeling, the textures, and how it looks. It's fantastic. All right, let's go back to cockpit now and take a look at the tablet. The tablet has seen a lot of improvements as well. So these are the controls to remove the chocks, engine plugs, tie downs, static wicks, P2 covers. You can even add a GPU if you want to. It's quite loud, but you can. And then the doors. And I think we discovered something here because we closed that door, and I'm pretty sure it's back open again. No, it's not. Oh, it's locked maybe. Okay. We can close the doors. And we can open the lockers. We can also open the fuel caps on the wings, oil doors, hydraulic reservoir, which is behind this pillar, and then the engine doors can be opened too, and you see the engines modeled as well. We have a yoke lock at the back. I can show you like this. We have the tie downs already attached to the ground. That's the yoke lock. This is the rudder lock, I'm sorry, and the yoke lock is the control column lock, which is in the cockpit. This guy here, you can remove it. You can remove the rudder lock, and then all the other tie downs and ground equipment. Tablet can be hidden by clicking the camera, and can be brought back up by clicking here. There's a click spot at the top portion of the window. Windows do operate and open on both sides. We'll leave them open for now. There we go. Circuit breakers, I believe, are not modeled or not functional in this aircraft. Maybe that will come in a future update, but for now they are not. and a very nice looking cockpit. This aircraft comes with 4 different avionics suites, which 2 of which is quite similar. The first one is the classic GNS530 with a gyro pilot looking like autopilot controls, not the Garmin autopilot you see here. There is a little trim wheel over here for pitch, and then yaw damper and autopilot switch down below. Obviously, we have the GTN 750 and the GTN 750 NXI is also supported, which I don't own. And the last version is the GTN 750 with the working titles autopilot logic. So 4 different configurations that you can select from the livery selections menu. Unfortunately, they cannot be changed on the fly using the EFB like the others, such as Cessna 310 from Milvis. But that's fine, I guess, because I never felt the need to change the avionics when I'm in a flight. So we'll take a look at the startup procedure too. We are not going to go through the pre-flight inspections or anything like that, but we will verify a couple things. Parking brake is set. Throttle levers and engine and propeller RPM and mixture is at the cutoff position. We have to turn on the fuel. That's over here, and I have a control mapping for that, so they will go to the main tanks. We'll go mixture to full rich, RPM to full forward, and we will crack open the throttles like half an inch maybe, and that is the power setting for startup. This bar locks the battery and alternators. We will turn them on first. While we have the batteries and alternators on, we can go ahead and turn the nav lights on. We'll turn the magnetos to on. Those are these 4 switches here for right and left magnetos. They are now on. We'll turn the fuel boost pumps to low. You are hearing the pumps. We'll talk about the cockpit after we start the engines, and then we'll prime the engine. Clear prop. Really nice startup sounds. And then the engine first loses the RPM and then catches back up, and the RPM keeps climbing, so that's a very realistic engine behavior. We will leave it there. As you see now, it's gonna climb up to probably 1000 RPM ish. At that manifold pressure, we'll keep it around 1000 RPM and start the right engine. Alright, we'll just repeat what we have done. Prime the engine, and then very nice startup sounds. Engine start sounds are really nice. Now we can turn off the boost pumps and turn the avionics bus to on. That will provide power to our avionics. Let me tune the simulator volume down a little bit. It's gonna get very loud. Okay. Now everything is powered on. We'll turn the flight director on, and the fuel and balances, we haven't checked the other stuff on the tablet, so let me bring that and close the windows. And when you bring the tablet, the window closes automatically on the pilot side. So that's our engines running. We have weather information available to us in the EFB, including the wind direction and magnitude. Also, we have the cabin temperature here, and you can manipulate the cabin temperature by playing with the cabin air controls and turning the fans on. That will change the cabin temperature. You also have AC here that you can cool the cabin. And yeah, that's the pressurization controls and the altitude that we are planning to climb. We are not going to use this today. We will do a small circuit. You can also add passengers, which is a nice touch and came later. They also have different 3D models, female and male, for both seats, for all seats. Like this is Alicia sitting right behind us, right there. And if we go back, we can change Alicia to Mark. And there's Mark. You can also add their luggage to the luggage compartments. Seat 3 has John and Mary. And seat 5 has Rick, who is looking back. I'm not sure if he is waiting on someone. Looks like it. Seat 7, Bobby or Jake. So 2 males, actually. He is right there. And Cindy, 2 Cindys for seat 8 with a bottle in her hand. You probably saw it. I can get closer though. Let me try. There you go. That's Cindy. She's a kid, looks like. And then Cindy with a tablet, and then you have Will, and their ages. So Cindy is 10 years old. You also can refuel your aircraft from this panel, and that will display your CG and the range. We can go full fuel even when the engines are running. And we also have pre-flight inspection click spots, which I'm thinking the developer will have a use for these. Right now they are kind of static, that takes you to the set portion of the aircraft for you to check, but nothing you can do there, or nothing in terms of failures. Over here, our instrumentation, airspeed indicator. We have a Dowtron clock here with elapsed time, as well as stopwatch. And you can set the clock too. Outside air temperature display. Nav 1, Nav 2, and you can select ADF or Nav 1, Nav 2 on this. This is slewed to your Nav 2 radio. This is your absolute altitude or decision height indicator, that you can set your decision height and it will warn you when you get closer. Altitude selector is here to select your desired altitude. DME, displaying your airspeed or ground speed, distance to the station, and then how long it will take to get there. Turn indicator, turn and slip indicator, vertical speed indicator, your altimeter, which we probably need to set right now. It looks like it is reading correct. The elevation here is almost mean sea level. Engine gauges here, mixture and EGT, and then oil and hydraulic pressure gauges over here. Fuel quantity, and then the co-pilot's instruments start there. That's the ADF radio, and then our GTN 750 and the Garmin autopilot. You can test these buttons too: outer, middle, and inner marker lights. Altitude alert light, which turns on when you have 1,000 feet to your set altitude. And then a fuel computer here where you can select, because we filled up, so the function fill up, add gallons, etc., gallons remaining. We will select the fill up because we just filled the tanks, enter, and then it will display how much fuel you are burning on each engine. Okay, so that's the cockpit. Your night lighting is here, which looks really nice in the night. And you have some lights at the overhead as well, and some lights for your passengers too at the back, and those lights that we discussed, they also now work because the aircraft has power. Very nice. All right, let's see here. We should have dropped the cabin temperature a little bit. Oh, it's very hot right now, so we need to cool it down. We turned the knobs to the wrong direction. Let's turn that to cool it down as well, and open the air, and we should probably see this coming down. All right, I think that's enough talk about the instrumentation, cockpit, and the displays. There are some other controls down below which we can look. Pressurization, so emergency oxygen. You can depressurize or pressurize the cabin, so you obviously need to depressurize when you are descending. And emergency pressure dump switches, etc. Let's hide the tablet now, and we can just taxi and take a short circuit. So we'll turn on our taxi lights, and anti-collision is strobe, so we turn them on when we are at the runway. Pitot heat, we're probably not going to need it today. It's quite hot outside. And let's bring the tablet to see if the temperature started to drop. I'm not sure if I'm forgetting anything to control the AC system. That should. Do we have an AC switch somewhere over on the co-pilot side? I don't think so. Just trying to think, but that cabin temperature can be controlled. That's what I'm trying to say. Alright, time to get to the runway. Runway, by the way, is somewhere over there. So we have a little bit of long taxi. It's called the default pushback, release the parking brake, and the tug, invisible tug, will take us away from our parking spot. I'm still trying to remember what I supposed to be doing to drop the cabin temperature, and I can't remember, so we close this and keep the AC running. Oh, it started to drop now. Okay, let's stop the pushback, take a look around. We can turn right, I believe we have enough room, and keep going. Alright, I'm gonna activate my head tracker for taxiing. We'll give it a little bit of throttle. She should start moving, and then we'll come back on the throttle, and that will keep us going. We'll turn around, join the taxiway, which I believe is this yellow line here. Keep going. Interesting weather today at Rio, but the airport looks beautiful. Let's focus on taxiing. I can cut the throttles a little bit more, and then we can go and find the runway. I think we don't need the tablet anymore. That's obstructing the view a little bit. She taxis very nicely. I had some issues with the initial release or the beta version where it wasn't staying, or it was steering on its own, but those are all fixed by the developer. Wait a minute, buddy. Are you seeing that an aircraft is coming? Yeah, taxi is nice. When you are taxiing, you hear the cracks and shatter and the sounds, like the cabin sounds where things rattle and cracks and all that. So those are also nicely done. I was trying to think about the right word to say, by the way. That's what I stuttered a little bit. But runway should be on our right side, so we'll take this taxiway. Looks like we are a little bit slow now. We can add some power and keep going. She taxis really nicely around 1200 RPM. And what you are hearing in the background is the Rex seasons trying to compile the season for the vegetation. I have set it up to automatic update. Sorry about that, I didn't think about it when starting to record the video, but that's what you heard. The birds chirping was that software updating itself. Right, we are approaching the runway. We will stop at the hold short point momentarily to take care of our lights, and then we will continue with the takeoff. Alright, at this point anti-collision lights will come on and landing lights will come on. We can now enter the runway. No traffic in sight on the left. No traffic in sight on the right, so we should be fine now. We'll monitor that one more time when we are about to enter the runway. Again, no one on approach, and there is no one over there as well. We can now enter the runway. We can do a flaps 1 takeoff or flaps 15 degrees takeoff, but that's not necessary for this aircraft, so we will keep the flaps up and do our takeoff roll. Alright, let's line up, do a final check, then we will be on our way. Those braking effects, how the cockpit is shaking and moving is awesome. Alright, everything looks okay. We'll turn the boost pumps to low during takeoff, and pitot heat we are not gonna need it. De-icing systems we are not gonna need it, so everything is okay now. Let's add some power. 20 inches. Manifold pressure, release the brakes, and then slowly increase the power to the takeoff power setting. I hope you are hearing these nice engine sounds. We'll go full power now. Takeoff power set. Let's maintain the center line. We are going to rotate at 90 knots. There's 90 knots. Pulling back gently, and off she goes. Alright. Positive rate of climb, gear is coming up, and we will reduce the power to 35 inches of manifold pressure and 2500 RPM, and adjust our mixture a little bit. Mixture controls do work now. They used to be fixed, and that was due to Microsoft's or Asobo's mixture logic for turbo engines. We are going to keep the climb rate around 1000 feet per minute. I'm just trying to trim the aircraft for climb, and she should start climbing very nicely. I still find trimming a little bit tricky in this aircraft, but aside from that, everything works just fine. Oh, look at that. This is beautiful. We can turn off our landing lights now. And you will see them retracting into their housing. And it seems like we are pitching up a little bit. Let's go back into the cockpit and see our vertical speed. So we will level off at 2000 and cut the power to probably below 30, like 28 inches manifold pressure and 23 RPM, 200 RPM, and pitch for level flight at 2000. Very stable, very nice, very easy to control. she flies beautifully. I'm flying by hand and I have no problems controlling the aircraft I'm flying. We'll see if the trim will be set correctly. And when you are close to your desired altitude, I highly recommend playing with your power settings to adjust your trim rather than using the trim wheel, because it's still a little bit too sensitive in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Okay, we will maintain 2000 like this. We can cut back to 25 inches and that should keep us level at 2000. Very nice. And how I set up the trim, by the way, let me explain that too. I first set my power, starting with throttles and then engine propeller RPM mixture, and then trim the aircraft to maintain that altitude. Okay, let's turn around now and try to maintain the altitude. We might have to pitch up a little bit to stay. I'm also watching my turn and slip coordinator to make sure the ball is centered and we are in fact turning without losing altitude or gaining altitude. This is something I'm still practicing for GA, hand flying the aircraft, and sometimes it can get very tricky if you are focusing on other instruments or anything else. Alright. I hope when I edit, the sounds of the sim is not too much and you still can hear me okay. That's my fear right now. But I will try to adjust the audio when editing the video to make sure it's not gonna cause any problems on your end. This is a wide turn, but I'm not complaining. I wanna keep the bank angle less than high. I don't want to bank too much, although you can do tight turns too, but well, this is how I practice hand flying in GA aircraft. So I'm trying to watch my instruments as well as the outside and turned off head tracking just to help you guys with motion sickness. Okay, that's the airport. We turned a little bit too much. Let's drop the nose down. And we need to cut the power at this point all the way down to 1500. And we need to set ourselves for 500 feet per minute descent path to approach. And we're going to do a traffic pattern, so we'll keep the runway on our left. Let's pitch up a little bit, that's too much. And then we will do the downwind section and do the upwind after that. So we will maintain 1800 for the downwind section. I think the aircraft will stay there for now. I think we are trimmed nicely. Looks like it. We might gain just a little bit, and I'm gonna counter that with my yoke or joystick in this case and do slight adjustments to the trim. Alright, let's see if through bringing head tracking back will cause any issues, because I don't want to look left and right too much, but I'm gonna need this to explain the downwind, crosswind and final sections of the traffic pattern. So on downwind section there's an entry point where you need to enter the downwind with a 45-degree angle. You maintain your heading, fly parallel to the runway and maintain your altitude too until you pass the threshold of the runway, and then that's when you start descending. Okay, this looks nice. I'm I'm gonna control the pitch a little bit with my joystick and correct for heading, because I don't wanna lose altitude just now. After downwind, we will start descending at 500 feet per minute, and then turn left for our crosswind section, and then turn left again for our final. I haven't checked if this airport has a left or right traffic pattern. That's usually published in the airport charts, but I'm just assuming this is a left traffic pattern where you always turn left to intercept the runway. So when you are going to turn, let's just start descending and I will explain that too. So we will fly level and we will look down to the runway. And when we are passing the runway threshold, we will start descending. It might be a good idea to add one notch of flaps, cut the power a little bit more, because that will throw the pitch up, and we will set a 500 feet per minute descent, like so. And at this point, because we are in the landing phase, the prop RPM goes to full forward and the mixture goes to full forward. But we need to cut power or throttles to maintain the pitch and slow down to introduce more flaps. So when we are at a 45-degree angle, is powered down, we can go ahead and put the chocks, covers, everything, yoke and rudder lock, and we can open the doors. There you have it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As I said before, if you stumbled upon this video and not a subscriber, please consider subscribing, and if you enjoyed what you have seen, please consider giving the video a like. This helps a lot for this video to reach other flight simulator fans, and maybe they are interested in the topic as well. Alright, as I said at the beginning of the video, I will be back with the video schedule, and I'll try to stay on schedule as much as I can. If something extraordinary comes up, I will let you know, or guys know, through the community page of the channel. But until next time, take care of yourself, and I'll be seeing you in the next video.